I find so much power in and so much comfort in the fact that after 10 years, Rachel's words are still resonating with people.
Hello, my name is Stanley Heller. Welcome to The Struggle. The Struggle is shown on 21 cable stations from Vermont to New York City, on the internet at thestruggle.org. We begin with a MoveOn.org vigil in front of the offices of Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro in New Haven. The vigil called for her to oppose any U.S. bombing of Syria. The bulk of the show today will be part of the program at Central Connecticut State University after a performance of the play My Name is Rachel Corrie. The parents of Rachel Corrie spoke to the audience, along with Ashley Malloy, who had just performed the play, and Faisal Abu al-Hijleh of the Freedom Theatre of Jenin. Rachel Corrie, of course, is the young American who in 2003 was crushed to death under a U.S.-made Israeli army bulldozer while she was trying to protect a Palestinian home from demolition in Rafah. We begin in New Haven. The United Nations has since come out with a report saying that surface-to-surface rockets did deliver chemicals that caused a large number of deaths in the outskirts of Damascus. For our analysis of the report, go to our website, thestruggle.org. We continue to maintain our position that whomever was the guilty party for this horrible act, the United States has no business pointing fingers, no reason to drop bombs on Syria, and no right to risk a wider war in the region. If the U.S. government is concerned about Syrian refugees, it can do something by help bringing them into the U.S. Arab countries have brought in hundreds of thousands. Vijay Prashad, the Trinity professor, has said that the U.S. has so far brought to the United States a total number of 33 Syrian refugees.
We've spent a lot of time in Palestine, and I think been to Gaza 5 times. The latest time last November.
I'm Cindy Corrie, and I'm very glad to be here. Thank you for such a wonderful experience.
Thank you for coming.
Theater.
Thank you.
I'm Rachel's mom, and also Rachel very much brought a family to this issue. And in addition to being in Gaza, we've spent considerable time in the West Bank and made it to Jenin for the first time last year, visited the Freedom Theatre, and also in Israel, where we have a lot of, or I like to think, a lot of supporters and friends there as well.
My name is Faisal. I'm an actor from Freedom Theatre from Palestine. I live in Jenin refugee camp. It's an honor to me to have this chance to be here and to see a nice production, and also it's an honor to sit beside the family of Rachel Corrie. It really means a lot to me, and we are here touring with a play called The Island by Ethel Forgard, and thank you.
This is Ashley Malloy, who just performed for you. And I'm Josh Perlstein, and I teach acting at Central, and as Gary mentioned, I first went to the Freedom Theatre in 2007. For those of you that don't know about it, there's certainly lots of things to be learned about it, but it was started by a number of people, Zachary Zubeidi, Jonathan Stanzik, and Giuliano Merchamis, and it was started as a way to give young people in the camp and beyond an opportunity to express what they were feeling about their lives. So I taught first these two guys. I taught them in 2000 and something. 2008, because it was right after that guy was elected president. No, 2008, that guy, right? And then I went back in 2010 and I directed a production that these guys were in called Men in the Sun. And then I recently was back this past summer doing some work as well. So you'll have a chance to ask questions about that. But that's who we are. And so go. I don't have anything else to say.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about how I found. Oh, there's a question.
Yes.
Okay. Question time.
You found justice for the murder of your daughter.
The question is whether we've found justice for the murder of our daughter. First, I'll just say that Craig and I, for years and years, resisted using the word murder. Many other people did. We still don't use that easily, but we have been through a civil court process in Israel. I think I won't go into it right now because it's a long story, but maybe later on we can tell you more if there are more questions about it. At the end of that process, which came with a verdict in August of 2012, last year, the district court judge, it was a single judge who heard the testimony, 22 witnesses, many from the Israeli military, over the course of a couple of years, actually, it took that long, found no fault with the actions of the Israeli military, even though there's so much to say about it. But the U.S. position on the investigation in Rachel's case has always been and has remained that there was not an adequate, thorough, credible, and transparent investigation done into her case. And that was borne out by what we heard in court as well. Despite all of that and much more, the judge found no fault exactly with what the state, our case was not against the driver or there were two people in the bulldozer. It was against the state of Israel and the Israeli military, either for intentional killing or I lose the language, profound negligence. So we are appealing that. The date for the appeal in the Israeli Supreme Court, and the appeal is limited in what can be addressed, I believe, but our attorneys are working on that. And that will be next year. Right now the date is, I believe it's May 22nd. It's just been changed. It was going to be Valentine's Day. I thought maybe that was a good omen. But it's now in May, late May. So those of you who follow these things, you'll be hearing from us. But maybe we can, if there are more questions about that, I'd be glad to share. But I would say, and Craig would have different things to say, justice is a complicated matter. The court is one place where you look for that. I find so much power in and so much comfort in the fact that after 10 years, Rachel's words are still resonating with people and providing inspiration to me. I mean, keeping me active on these issues through people like Ashley. So I don't know if I'll leave it there.
Do you have any more questions?
Ashley, how much did you know about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and before you studied this?
Nothing. I really very, very limited knowledge. And in 2011, when I was, I was a sophomore, it was the first time I had met people from the Freedom Theater where Josh has taught. And they came and they were talking about their experiences living in a refugee camp, and I just I was like, how can I not know about this? How do more people in America not know about this? And I instantly became impassioned with the subject. And in April, when Rock and Faisal were here earlier in the year, they saw a different production I was in, and I went out with them after and socialized with them, and I said, just tell me anything about your life. Just tell me what it's like to live there. And they told me, and I still remember the words that they said that still resonate so deeply for me. And I went to Josh and I said, I need to do Rachel Corrie. I need to tell people about this. And he said, great, make it happen. And I got people to help direct me, and my dad built the set, and just really it was like whoever I could get to help me and educate on the issue. It's really just taken hold of me, and I'm really passionate about it. Yes?
What was the hardest part about this process for you, kind of trying how to interpret things?
Memorization. Hands down. I mean, every day I would tell myself, okay, you need to do at least 30 minutes of research every day, because before we opened, I was getting a lot of hecklers via email saying it's irresponsible to do this play, you're being brainwashed, things to that effect. And Josh had said, you need to educate yourself. You need to, if people come in and they say things, you have to be able to argue them in this sort of scenario, not during the show. During a show, it would have been like, get out. So yeah, I just started doing research, and every day I would watch videos, and I'm friends with these guys on Facebook, so I would look at their pictures and just try to understand what life is really like there. So I would say memorization, though, definitely.
Did you write this?
No, this is all Rachel's writing.
It's all Rachel's writing?
Yeah.
I'm glad you included water in there, because that's a big weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Like weapons.
Yeah.
Something as simple as water. And
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, the play, just for anyone who isn't aware, is actually taken from all of Rachel's writings. Alan Rickman and Catherine Viner compiled them back in 2006, was it?
It's a long story.
Actually, Rachel's email, so the last part of it was run in the London Guardian right after Rachel was killed, and a friend of Alan Rickman's read it, handed it to Alan, said, you need to read this. He took it and works with the Royal Court Theatre. They contacted us, and we finally met that group that wanted to put it on 6 months after Rachel was killed. We were on our way back from Gaza, our first trip to Gaza, and when Rachel was killed, within a 7-week period and about 3 miles there on the border, there were 3 internationals killed. Rachel was the first. Tom Herndl, who was a 20-year-old British activist and photographer, was the second, and then James Miller, who was working on a HBO production of home demolitions there, was the third. He was killed doing that. That production ran and got 3 awards, I think, that James got posthumously. But anyway, we were in contact and sort of email and telephone friends with the Herndl family. We stopped in London to see the Herndl family, but decided to talk to the people at the Royal Court Theatre. And in that, I told Alan Rickman, I said, Rachel wrote all of her life. Would you be interested in any more? They were thinking about just doing something. Maybe trying to do, I don't know, a theater workshop. I'm not even sure what that is. And so anyway, he said, yeah, I'd be interested in stuff if you can find it. And so we left and went back to the States, and totally shell-shocked. I didn't really even realize who Alan was while I was talking to him. I had 3 hours. We walked out of that, and I said to Cindy, we're supposed to know the actor with a deep voice. And about 3 hours later, I said, Sense and Sensibility, and I played the Colonel in Sense and Sensibility. And I owned up to that. To him. We're still in contact, I think, last year, and he started laughing. He says, you guys didn't know who you were in that meeting, let alone who I was. It's all true. But a year went by, and Tom had actually survived the shooting, but died a year later. About literally 1/8 of his brain was blown out. We met him. He was in a coma. He, as his sister said, unfortunately, it took all of his brain except that which controlled your heart and your lungs. So he wasn't on anything except, he was there in a coma. He died, and his family was setting up a foundation. So anyway, we went back when they were setting that up, met Alan again, and I asked him, are you still interested? I haven't done anything. And he said he was, and our daughter Sarah was there at the time, and she said, I will go back and look at go get the other stuff. So she did that. She spent a couple of months looking through bins of writing, and typing that up. And when she'd done as much, I don't think as what we had, but as much as she could do emotionally, she packed all that up, and I think it was 80-some pages.
No, it was 170-some pages.
Yeah.
170.
Of writing that they sent to Alan, and then he and Kat worked on it, and actually pulled in the first actress to do lines and decided, and put it together. And actually what they put together is about, would run an hour and a half and spoken much. I like it. You did it slower than they do it, and I like it better that way, because for me, I like to savor the words and everything.
Yeah.
So, I thought this was fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
And I'll shut up in a second, but just the energy you had is one thing, but I just say it flat out. It's the ballsiest performance I've ever seen. You held my eyes when, and I cried the first time I saw this play. I cried through the whole thing, but I always cry with that interchange with Rachel. That when she replied to that, that's the last we ever heard of from her. That's the last contact we had from Rachel, is her email reply to me. But you held my eyes through that whole thing, and I was so afraid to look away from you.
I wasn't gonna let you. I was like right here.
Yeah. But that, nobody's had that. I've seen this play 100 times, give or take 30, and nobody's ever done that.
Rach and Faisal are touring in a current production directed by Gary. That is, I'm calling it the first U.S. tours. Are we calling it the first U.S. tour? It's controversial, but let's call it the first, right here. I'm saying this is the first U.S. tour. It was the dream of Giuliano Merhamis to bring a professional company to America, to train actors who were capable of playing with the best, and these guys are the ones. I worked with them when they were still students, and they're now here touring the Northeast. They're going to be at, they've just finished at UConn. They did 3 performances up there. They're on their way to Brown in Providence, so if you want to travel a little, you can go down to Brown. It's not that far. They'll be there on September 11th. Then they're going to travel down to DC, so if you got friends down in DC, they're going to be at Georgetown University for 2 shows on the 16th and 17th of September. And then they're coming back, and they're actually going to be at Central just briefly. They're going to be stopping by to talk to students again. And then they're going to be in New York at what do we call the theater? The 4th Street Theater.
It's the East 4th Street Theater. It's part of the New York Theater Workshop.
Part of the New York Theater Workshop. And that will run the
25th to the 28th.
What he said, 25th through the 28th.
Hello, everybody again. I'm, as what we said, we are the Freedom Theatre. Actually, I would like to say some words about this play and why we choose this play and what's the target for us, for especially this play. This play is called The Island, talk about the apartheid and racism during the 18...
South Africa.
Yeah, during the South Africa apartheid and racism. Actually, we decided to adaptate this play in Arabic and to do it. But when we start to adaptate this play, actually we didn't change that much because we felt this play talk about us. Mm-hmm. And I thought, wow, this play it's matched the Palestinian community. And then we did it. Actually, this play talk about the 2 prisoners. They are in the cell. And when you speak about the prison in Palestine, especially, or in the camps, or in any villages in Palestine, this word, it's mean a lot for the people. Because everyone in Palestine, each house, every child know what it's mean to be in the prison, especially the Israeli prison. And also who don't have experience with the prison, we are already in prison, in the camps and in the villages. Because, during the Intifada especially, it was checkpoints and between the cities and between the camps. We cannot go like you cannot go from Jenin to Nablus or from Nablus to Ramallah. So we have this experience. So what we would like to do, what we accept from this play, the first thing to say the truth about Palestine, to tell what's going on there, and especially about the people who's in the Israeli prison. And also, it's like this place came during the hunger strike, if you hear about it, the hunger strike for the Palestinian prison who was in the, like in January, in March it was, like January, March, something like this. And we decide this place will be like a gift for the Palestinian prisoners who resist and who suffered for just simple thing, for freedom. And we believe as a Palestinian artist, this is our resistance, because we believe our resistance came through the stage, through the camera, through the poetry, through the musicians. Because by these tools, we can keep our identity as a Palestinian alive. Because the occupation, it's not only occupied the land or occupied the street or the prison as physically prison. Also, we believe the dangerous occupation, it's the cultural occupation of the mind, occupation of the concepts, occupation of the blood. We believe as a Freedom Theatre group, by the art, we can refresh the soul again, and we can refresh the mind again for our children in the beginning, and then to the world. Because also we need display, and we need the art, because I believe, because I born in Jenin refugee camp, and I know what it's mean when you grow up in this situation. Just to know, when you say Jenin refugee camp, that's mean 17,000 people live in 1 kilometer square. And during the Intifada, the people, they cannot go in or out. We were living like in a ghetto. When the child born in this situation, it's like his character from inside being killed. The most dream for him it will be about death, about killing. The art, it gives a chance to, there is different ways. There is a new life here. There is a new concept came to the minds. Because I believe the Israeli army wanted from us to face them, and they will kill us in 2 minutes. To say Palestinian terrorists, they're attacking us, they blah blah blah. But we believe by the art we can live hundreds of years. And I think, thank you.
I would love to add something if I could, because the Jenin Freedom Theatre is very close to our hearts, and it took us a long time to get there, but we've known about it for a long time. But Palestinians are asking us to really focus on the prisoner situation, and I think this play is such a gift to bring it to the U.S. And to let audiences think about that, because there are now, the number fluctuates, but between 4,000 and 5,000 Palestinian political prisoners. I've met these people live with people who have been in prison, and you're absolutely correct, every family is touched by that. But I've met Palestinian prisoners released in Gaza last year who were then, even though their family is in the West Bank or in Jerusalem, they're not allowed to go and live, even though they've been released from prison back in the West Bank and Jerusalem. They're forced to go to Gaza. Gisha, which is an Israeli organization, talks about the terrible problem in that movement between the West Bank and Gaza has been not allowed at all through Israel. And I'll just close by saying, in regards to Gaza right now, because of the situation in Egypt and in the Sinai, while there was more movement in the last, actually since the Egyptian revolution in 2011, that now has been very much curtailed. There's some, but very little, and we just need to keep in mind that situation is always changing. There was some improvement for a while, but it's more a prison now, I think, again, than it has been for a very long time.
I want to ask, Rachel Corrie, when she died, really her parents brought a larger community. But Giuliano was assassinated, I believe, 2 years ago?
April 4th, 2011.
2011. How did this affect the Freedom?
So just the background there, Giuliano, who I mentioned before, who was one of the founding artists of the theater, was murdered in front of the theater in April of 2011. And that case has never officially been solved. So Aram's question was, how did that affect, the theater and the making of theater? So, yeah. And Gary too, if you want to speak to that.
Yeah, you'd like to say something? Okay. Actually, it's really difficult when you think about it, because really we lose the leader. We lose. I always said our godfather, as a Palestinian actor, especially who's studying in the acting school of the Freedom Theatre. At the beginning, it was a shock for everybody, because there is someone killed here, and everyone asked himself, maybe I will be the next. But also at the same time, we have two choices: or we become afraid and we give up and we say, oh, I will not do the Freedom Theatre again. But if we give up this time, that means we will give up all our life. But if we continue, but Giuliano dream, that will make the people in Palestine in general and in the world respect us, and listen to us more, because we're doing real work, not as a cultural resistance.
Lots of events coming up this fall in Connecticut and nearby. Josh Rubner in New Haven, September 28th. A dissident Israeli soldier, also in New Haven, on October 12th. See our website, thestruggle.org, for details. That's our program for today. See you next week at this time. I'm Stanley Heller, and this is The Struggle.